All right, hey guys, and welcome back to DBTalks Football Podcast. And we are returning well with a 3-0 statement win over Levante at Camp Nou. And of course, going to this game, Barca were on back-to-back defeats, and it was not looking good for us. Obviously, the Atletico 4-0 loss and the Girona 2-1 loss. And you could see that the team's confidence was somewhat fragile, and a lot of the players and all of the fans were kind of doubting the whole system with Hansi Flick. But the thing is, going to this game, everyone expected a dominant performance, and thankfully, we got it with our 3-0 win today. And also going into this game, obviously, Madrid lost 2-1 the day before, so there was a lot of hopes like that Barca could take back their first spot in La Liga today. And fortunately, we did. And again, the other thing is now is that we're 1 point clear at the top with 25 games played, so it is still really close. We can't afford to, drop any more points, but the main thing right now is at the moment we are first, and the main thing is that if we continue to win all of our remaining games, we are going to end up winning La Liga. The main thing is if we do that, so that's the main thing to focus on. But let's look into this game, and again, we're going to talk about like how the game started and how overall in that first half we started to dominate like things further. But yeah, let's get into the game. So I think right at the start of the game, within like 20 seconds, we saw Levante have their first chance, and that was kind of scary because, it was looking like Barca could easily concede their first goal like right away, and fortunately it didn't end up being a goal. Unfortunately, it was just a chance for them. And again, the main thing for Barca fans, we know that even early in games we concede really early goals, we concede really early chances. So yeah, the main thing was for us to just lock in, not concede that first goal and dominate the ball, especially at home. And thankfully, after that first chance, we saw a lot of improvement. We saw Barca doing much better. And someone I want to highlight for that like start of how we started dominating was João Cancelo. I think overall this game, it might be one of his best performances for Barca, even in his last tenure when he joined Barca before. I think this overall performance was really really good to see and really encouraging. But yeah, we'll talk about him later as our player performances. But yeah, again, into this game, I couldn't imagine if we went 1-0 down after like 20 seconds. That would really like bring all the confidence of the team down. So thankfully that didn't happen, and Joan García stepped in to stop a crisis before it started. And thankfully, just in 4 minutes, it was a great set piece play. We kind of played the short corner, and it ended up being like played over to Eric Garcia from João Cancelo with some great footwork. And then again, really good like weak foot kind of low driven cross from Eric Garcia, kind of like Gerard Martin has done a couple times this season. And yeah, great cross into the box. And again, we saw Marc Bernal with the really good positioning to be onside, and he also had a foot finish. So yeah, really good goal overall. And we've seen Marc Bernal get his second goal this season for Barca. So yeah, really really good for him. And yeah, I think it's 2 goals in 3 games now. And of course, that first goal that he scored was that great play where he like ran through the defense and cut in and finished. So again, we've seen that Marc Bernal does have that attacking capability, and today he even showed like a great run in and a great finish from him. So yeah, that's also really encouraging to see. And a player like Marc Bernal, I think he can be so useful for Hansi Flick and the team at the moment, because obviously with Pedri injured and just coming back, and a lot of our midfield depth not looking good, I think a player like him can actually make the difference for Barca. So yeah, really good goal from him, and I think that can really boost his confidence to keep getting minutes under Flick. But yeah, I think he was rewarded for starting a good performance off. And again, I think that goal, the early nerves for the game instantly, and it let Barca play their brand of football. And I think that was really encouraging to see. And from the 10th minute onwards, I think Barca can continue to like just dominate the game. I think we played much better, and thankfully that ended up like leading to our second goal. And again, this was the Jong goal where again Cancelo was involved, and he kind of like plays a lovely ball into the box, and he finds his man. And another great like run in from Jong. And it's kind of surprising that both of our first 2 goals were from our midfielders running into the box and like crashing the box, which was good to see because we haven't really seen that from Barca much. And again, with the Jong goal, this kind of reminds me of his early tenure for Barca when he was with Messi, and he used to make those kind of runs into the box under Messi as well, and under like managers like Koeman and stuff. So yeah, that was also really good to see from Jong. I think he's been so important for us, and I think this really helps his confidence as a player, filling in for the lack of depth in midfield that we have. And I'd say one of our best players at the moment. So yeah, really good goal from him. And Yeah, there was that one shot also saved from Matthew Ryan. I think he also had a couple of shots saved from Rafinha and Lewandowski. But yeah, I think this was a really good half from us. I think again after that early scare, I think we started to create a lot more chances to dominate the game, something that the fans expected to see. So that was really good. But yeah, I think the only thing for Barca to improve on was get more goals, get a bigger performance, because this is Levante. They have been struggling in the league, and they are at the moment 19th in the league. So you want to get a really big performance and a big win at home, especially. So yeah, I think that was a great goal from Frenkie de Jong to put us up 2-0. And yeah, it was just an overall great play. And again, Cancelo, I think he was so involved in this game. He also had that one chance where he kind of crossed it in and it hit the post. So I think that was also another chance. And I think just overall that first half, I think our best player was with Cancelo. I think he was involved in almost every attack we created. And again, yeah, he was just really like getting involved, and it just goes to show like someone like Balde who's been struggling in recent form. It just shows that we need someone that can actually like contribute attacking wise or defensive wise. Someone like Cancelo who can really like dominate a flank by himself. We saw at times in the game he was playing like all position on the left hand side. Like he was playing left back at times, he was playing left winger at times, and even times that he was playing like filling in at left DM. So yeah, he kind of covered that whole flank by himself at times. So that was really good to see. But you want to talk about the
Yeah, okay, so I'll just talk about going to the game with the lineups and also just like the first half. So going to the game, kind of like you mentioned a lot, like the two losses, like the Girona loss and the Atleti loss, I think both were hard games, and I think that kind of brought down the atmosphere, and I think it put a lot of pressure on Flick and also all the players, because I think like we were kind of questioning like the tactical setup that Barca had, and how Barca were struggling to play teams that were very strong on the counter, and just it was kind of noticeable that the defense was just super weak, and that teams were very good at exploiting it. And then it was just because Barca weren't able to always convert the chances they create, then they usually go down in the lead. And we saw that with Girona. Girona got the better of Barca and just were able to get more goals than Barca. So games like that, I think where it shows how Barca kind of struggle a lot in really trying to take control, because I think in the last few of the games, I think a lot of people like this has been a lot worse, and teams that exploit it well are going to get the win usually. So yeah, it's put a lot of pressure on Flick, because a lot of people demanded or just wanted Flick to change stuff that defense. So going to this game, obviously it's an important game, because like you mentioned with Madrid, they lost yesterday to Osasuna. So getting the win today would put Barca up top to the first place. So yeah, I mean, just talking about like the game in general, like I mean, like going into it, I think obviously it's a big La Liga game just for the stakes of getting first, but also just for Barca to prove more about them being a good team, and just proving that they can win and bouncing off the losses. I think a lot of fans are really like curious to see how the team would play, the players, and anything that Flick would change tactically. And when we look at the lineup, we kind of see like a bit of some change, because we saw Balde actually get benched for Cancelo in the left back position, and we saw Kubarsi get benched as well for Eric and Joan García. And I think with this, I think he kind of wanted to try something different. And we also saw Lewandowski's hands, like the more of the lineup. Like we saw Joan García keeper, right back Koundé, left back Cancelo, center backs Joan García and Eric Garcia, midfielders Jong and Bernal, and then the front forward Rafinha, Olmo, Lamine, and Lewandowski. So a lot of like the same people usually, but then also some kind of rotation you could say, because Cancelo usually doesn't start, but he did start at left back today over Balde. So I think it was definitely a different change that Flick wanted, and we kind of seen reports before about people say rumors that Flick doesn't want Cancelo, doesn't really see him as like a starter. But it was interesting to see him play, because you kind of mentioned this already, but in the first, Cancelo had a very good first half, and I think he really was the reason why Barca were super threatening on the attacking front, where you can see him making so many good crosses and he's creating so many daily chances, because the crosses that he was putting into the box seemed like it was always landing to a very good position for a Barca player to kind of score. And overall, just his passing and just his playmaking, I think today was actually very good offensively. And I think defensively, I mean, in the first 20 seconds, we saw that there was kind of a scare with Levante almost scoring. But I think besides that, I don't think there's anything too major. There were some chances that Joan García saved, like some pretty close chances. But overall, I still think that Barca kind of handled it well in the first half. But I think the main takeaway that I got from the first half was just just the attacking presence that Barca had, and I think Cancelo was the main highlight on how he kind of changed the way Barca kind of approached this game attacking wise because. With Balde, I feel like Balde compared to Cancelo, usually Balde feels more kind of like reserved, and I don't feel like he's as attacking minded as Cancelo is because, or at least ability wise, I think Cancelo's much better at crossing and stuff, so it gives him more, I guess, freedom and more, I guess, confidence to just go out and just cross the ball and just try to create something. I think with Balde, I do think he's talented, but I think at the same time I feel like he doesn't use as much potential as he can be using, and I think like in certain aspects he may lack a bit, like crisscrossing. I think he like, certain times he could put some good crosses, but also it's kind of inconsistent at times. So I feel like that's just something he lacks with. And then we saw with Cancelo where all his crossing was very good. I mean, his first cross was he crossed to Koundé, who he hit Koundé hit it first time and it kind of went over the net. And I think Koundé could have taken it a bit better, but at the same time it's a very fast thing. The game's going very fast, so I think Koundé kind of just thought he could take it first try. And just those chances kind of just show how good Cancelo is at just or at least this game how good Cancelo's players good opportunities to score, and it really made away Barca. And I think just throughout the first half, I mean I think Barca played very well in like keeping possession and just creating chances, just holding onto the ball and just trying to do stuff. I know even like Lamine Yamal was trying to create stuff with his crosses. I think Jong and Cancelo again like keep on saying he was very good. I think Rafinha was also very good. And I think also I think other players I think Olmo had a bit of a quiet game. I think Lewandowski was a little bit quiet in the first half as well. But overall I think like as a team I think it was a very good performance, and I think it was much better than what we saw in the past two games where we saw the two goals that were scored by Bernal and Jong. I think the Bernal goal was very we saw it from the the Cancelo assist to Eric Garcia, which he kind of crossed it into the box, and then Bernal gets the first time finish, which is very good, and it's very nice seeing Bernal score because Bernal really seems like a key player for the future of Barca, and just he seems a very talented player that can definitely fill in the midfield role for Barca when he needs to. So I can definitely see Bernal being in the future and even the rest of the season. Second goal, the Jong goal, the Cancelo cross again. Like I said, his crosses were very dangerous, and it seemed like it always was finding a Barca player. And Jong did very well to finish the chance, and it's very nice seeing Jong score. I think Jong is a player who, I don't know why, but people seem to not like him at times, or I feel like he's a player that has like a very he's very agenda, like people have agendas against him. So I feel like it's very nice to see him score and get that confidence because I think he deserves a lot because he rarely scores, and I think this season he's been definitely one of Barca's best players and probably the most one of the more consistent ones. So it's very nice seeing him do that and also just have a very good game overall. But I think he's someone who should be very appreciated while he's here because he is an older player. So we don't know how long he'll be here, maybe for a few more seasons. But yeah, I think he was super good, and the goal he scored was very nice to put Barca ahead. And I think just scoring those goals really just gave Barca more stability because in the previous games like versus Girona, Barca weren't really scoring, so I felt very kind of nervous at times because Girona were also looking very strong off the counter. But I think in this game, Levante, they had some good chances off the counters or just or just their attacks in general. But I don't think it was anything too threatening for the Girona, and also just with Barca having that lead, I think it made Barca a little bit more comfortable. So yeah, overall, like the first half, I think it was pretty good from Barca, and I think it's pretty satisfying. And yeah, I think it was a good momentum going the second half.
Yeah, and we ended the first half like with 8% possession and almost 2 xg, so that was really good to see after that early scare. But I think another like good point you mentioned was the Cancelo thing, where going into this game, a lot of reports from the media were talking about how Flick doesn't trust Cancelo anymore, and Cancelo kind of seems like he isn't really like trusted to be a part of the starting team and stuff like that. But I don't think anyone really expected Cancelo to come into this game and have such a good performance and show Flick and show the rest of the team that he can be a major part and he can contribute to doing well for this team. So that was really good to see from him, at least, especially in that first half. But I think he did kind of continue in the second half. But yeah, let's go into the second half, where I think again we were like hunting for that third goal, hunting for the fourth goal, and just trying to dominate the game more. And again, we saw like there were chances from Lewandowski where he kind of forced a save from the keeper Ryan, and also Dani Olmo. He had like a kind of a shot that was kind of tame, but again, there were chances from Barca being created. and it was kind of just good to see that there weren't too many chances for Levante to concede, but that was good. And I think the best chance for Levante was the one where I think one of the players kind of slips at the key moment and he kind of like hits a shot at the side netting and he could have actually made it 2-1, but yeah, fortunately he kind of slipped and kind of missed his chance. But I think the main thing for Barca was to keep getting that, keep attacking, keep dominating, and try to get that third goal to seal the game off. And yeah, thankfully, I mean, we kept going. And I think in the 66th minute, we saw Flick make three changes at the same time. We saw Fermín come on, we saw Pedri come on, and Ferran Torres come on. And even before Pedri came on, there was a lot of like, even when he was warming up, there was a lot of crowd from the whole stadium. And, it's just so good to see Pedri back in the team. And of course, even the fans know it, even Flick knows it, the whole team knows that even having Pedri back is so important. And it was just good to see him like being received so well by the fans. And it was just so good to see him also come on the pitch because he just came back from injury. So obviously we aren't going to force him like start a game. And yeah, the main thing for him was to just get some minutes under the belt and get back into the line slowly. So that was also good to see. And obviously with a player like Fermin, I think he can always make the difference. He can always come off the bench and give us a lot of like intensity, give us a lot of pressing that he does. And with Ferran Torres, I think he just came on because Lewandowski wasn't really doing well. I think there was moments in this game where Lewandowski was kind of wasting our attacks. There was times like when Rafinha and Yamal were open, but he decided to take a shot. So that was kind of frustrating from him. I think both of our strikers at the moment, Lewandowski and Ferran Torres, they aren't really like giving us much to like look forward to from our striker. I think both of them are really struggling, and there's like a stat where I think both of them have like 2 goals in around like 15 games. So that's really like bad to see recent form wise because last season they were like getting a lot of goals, but if their form is going to drop so drastically, it could cost us in this part of the season. So yeah, Lewandowski came off. I don't think he had a special game. Same with Olmo. I think Olmo also came off. He didn't have a really good game. And with Olmo, if he's going to be inconsistent like this, it's kind of like poor to see because obviously like when Pedri was out, he kind of filled in that center mid role. But if he kind of like is just in and out of form, it kind of is frustrating because we need a player like him to be on top of his form at all times to help the team. But yeah, this game I really didn't like notice him do anything special, and it was kind of like he kind of was a passenger during this game, so that was kind of frustrating to see. But yeah, I did mention like for me, Pedri and Ferran Torres came on, so that was good to see. And yeah, I think Pedri returned to a huge ovation and just shows that the emphasis for how important he'll be for the rest of the season if he can stay fit. And I think the big moment in the second half was the Fermin goal, and this was a special goal, honestly. And yeah, it was just we saw Yamal pick up the ball on the right, and he kind of drives inside a bit and then lays it off to Fermin. And at that point, you expect Fermin to shoot, but I mean, he just let off a rocket, and that kind of went straight into the net, kind of hit the post and went in. And this was just a banger from him. And we just know how insane Fermin's like shot capability is. We've seen so many times, he has power shots that he can do with either. I think honestly, for me, doesn't have a weak foot. If it's with his left foot, right foot, he can do both. And just like he can be a real difference maker with that kind of aspect of his game, the shooting and his like weak foot capability. So that was really good to see. And I think this is one of his best goals in a Barca shirt. I think just the power in that shot, the accuracy. I think that was just really really impressive to see from him. And yeah, I just thought that was a big rocket for Barca to seal off the game. And at that point, it's 3-0, and you just know Barca is going to dominate and just kind of see off the game. So that was just another like big moment and a really good moment for Fermin himself. So that was really good to see. And I think late in the game there was that one chance where Ryan made a like two like big saves at the same time. I think there was that Rafinha header, and also Fermin he denied him. So again, we could have made it 4-0, but yeah, I just think keeping the clean sheets and winning at home was no drama, and that's what the fans wanted. I especially mentioned that before the game that I just wanted a dominant performance where we kind of take control and there's no drama at the end where we kind of like are trying to not concede a second goal or something like that. So thankfully, yeah, we had a stress-free game, and yeah, no VAR chaos or nothing like that. And again, I think we were pretty clinical this game. We didn't see many like crossbars at post this game, which was good. But yeah, I just think really good performance from the team, and a routine 3-0 win at home. So that was really good to see. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that second half?
Yeah, so with the second half, I think again, I think it was very good from Barca. It was just taking control of the game and making sure that that nothing happened, like no like that Levante did in the game and score goals. So I think Barca did well on that aspect, and I think overall it was a good win. I think got the subs right. I think his subs and the choice I think were pretty correct. I do think I guess maybe a few issues would be I think Lamine should get more rest, and I think Rooney should be given more opportunity because when we saw Rooney come on, he definitely had some impact. So yeah, but I think overall even then just the second half I think it was a bit more calm than the first half, and I mean like you said, Barca could definitely scored more, but obviously didn't. There were some chances that just weren't scored, but yeah, overall, I think the players that came on, I think had some good impact. You mentioned with Pedri how, coming from injury, Pedri, how important Pedri is, and how we know that he's going to be one of the main players for the big games that are coming up, and how he will be super important. So definitely having him back will be a huge help. And yeah, I think his cameo tier was solid. I think just coming off injury, he's going to give him minutes. And we know also players like Rashford returning and Gavi returning, though they didn't really play. But yeah, I mean with other subs, I mean Fermín, he also got subbed on and he got a goal. Like you said, that goal, it was a very nice goal from him, and it just proves how good Fermín's ball striking ability is and just how good he is at shooting. And definitely it's good to have a player like that to help break down the opponent in different ways. Where Fermín likes to take shots from distance and likes to touch the keeper a lot, and yeah, his power is very strong. So having players like that who are very versatile at their finishing and their strong suits is definitely helpful. I think for me definitely demonstrates that, and yeah, I mean for me it's great. I think he has such a good impact, and I think most of the time when he's coming off the bench, I think he does offer some impact. So I think he's definitely a very important player. And then other players that came on, I think Ferran, I think besides he had a few chances but didn't really do much. But yeah, I mean I think the striker choices right now between Lewandowski and Ferran, I mean, I don't think either are in really great form. So I feel like with that position, it's kind of hard to have a person who's very consistent at it. So yeah, but I think for now, I think the good thing about Barca is that there's other players that can provide those goal scoring outlets, and I mean we're seeing players from the midfield, the defense get goal contributions and stuff. So yeah, I think right now it doesn't have a huge issue, but it could definitely be something that needs to be improved as well from the players at that position. And yeah, besides that, I mean Araujo, I don't think he came on in the later game. I don't think he did much. Rooney did as well, but I think he had some sort of impact on the attacking front in the game. So yeah, and just overall the second half, I think it was a pretty well worked second half. I think I mentioned it's still very good play from Barca, just keeping possession and just controlling the game. And I think this is how Barca should approach a lot of matches, and he was definitely good at get that experience and just to win over Levante. The relegation contenders, and I think he wanted to win, and you can kind of tell that. But Barca were able to kind of hold them off and just get. I think that's just a good thing from Barca, and just the way they played and how they approached it. And I mean, I think also Joan García came up huge at times with his saves, and I definitely think that if he didn't have those saves, I think Barca probably could struggle more. But yeah, besides that, I think it was a good game, and I think it was this win and coming off back from those losses, I think it's good momentum for now to go into the rest of the games. And I think there's other stuff going on, I think players are returning, so most of the key players are basically fit now, and they're ready to play, and players are improving their form, and I think the atmosphere right now is kind of getting better. But I do think look at certain things. I think the defense had some moments today where it was a bit shaky, so I think that definitely has to be improved. But yeah, and I think Flick he wants to get the best of the team, and he wants to turn on all those losses, so he's definitely going to try his best to improve the way the Barca play. And I think so far this game at least, I think he did well in it. But yeah, we'll see in the future games, because the games approach are definitely very important. The next game is against Villarreal at home, where Villarreal is, I believe, they're fourth on the table, I believe, and no, they're third on the table right now. So yeah, that'll definitely be a hard game, because obviously Barca want to maintain the lead to stay on top of the table. So playing them is not easy. And then after that's obviously the second leg of the Copa del Rey Atleti game, which coming in a going down 4 goals, it's gonna be very hard to turn around. But Barca gonna have to try their best to win that whole tie. So definitely need players to step up and just have a great game there. So yeah, I think for now like this win brings a lot of good momentum into the rest of the games and like hopefully the season. And I think again like a very well game from Barca I think is definitely much better than we saw in the past few games.
Yeah, I just think the overall game was well played from Barca's, and I think a lot of key players that performed for us, and hopefully like we continue this form into our next 2 games as you mentioned. But yeah, let's move on to the individual performances and man of the match. So I think my man of the match would be Cancelo for this game. I just think that first half especially, and the overall game from him, I think he just showed what had, the difference he can make for Barca. And obviously with players like Balde and Koundé in kind of a poor form and poor rather games, I think he can actually make a difference for us, and hopefully he continues like performing like this. But the thing to get to know is to not get too excited, because yes, it's Levante, and they are kind of relegation contenders. So again, they don't have players that can really punish a player like Cancelo, who like pushes really high for us. And I just think in like a big game against like even like Atletico Madrid, if he plays like this, or like PSG or Bayern, where they have winger like take advantage of runs in behind, I think he can actually struggle in that kind of system, because if he pushes so high, it just keeps like it leaves our left back role kind of really empty at times. And I think that can also like cost us in games. So again, let's not get too excited and carried away with Cancelo. I think again, if he can fill in these kind of games where he can make a difference, where we need to break down an opposition, I think that's really good to see. I think that's really good to have. But again, yeah, let's just not get carried away with Cancelo. But yeah, for this game, he would be my man of the match. I think the assist, the overall play from him, he was taking on his man so many times, and also like just performing really well. So that was really good to see. Another honorable mention would be both DMs. I think De Jong and Bernal had a really good game, and obviously they got both goals. But also, I think just their overall play, I think we looked much more like better defensively in our midfield. And I think overall, just De Jong controlling our game was really good to see, and even Bernal stepping in, having a couple good passes and plays. That was also really good to see, because yeah, with Casado, I think he's just not at that level anymore for Barca. And I think with both these players, they're just showing that they can prove to make a difference for Barca's midfield. And yeah, you mentioned the other player. I think Joan Garcia is also another player to mention, because without him, we easily concede 1 or 2 goals in this game, because that early scare, and there was another like a couple other shots that Levante had. So I think yeah, Joan Garcia also came in clutch for us today to keep that clean sheet. So really good from him. And another player I want to talk about is Yamal. I think again, Yamal didn't have a crazy game. He took his man on a couple of times, had a couple of shots that were close, but again, I don't think he did too much this game. He obviously got that assist for Fermín, which was a great goal, but I think a lot of that was to credit Fermín. But yeah, Yamal was decent this game, nothing too special. And I think overall, in this game we had a couple like highlight performers that I mentioned. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I kind of have a similar list to you. I mean, MVP I have to give it to Cancelo. I think at first half he definitely carried the attack, and I think his chances or his like the passes that he was given, the crosses, I think were like the most deadliest, and the ones that kind of created the goals, like the first 2 goals, like hit some assists. So I have to give credit to him, because I think he definitely helped Barca get into the game more and like get the goals and get the win. So yeah, I think it's nice to see him have this performance, because a lot of people kind of question Cancelo because of his age and just how he wasn't playing much at Al Hilal, and just he wasn't also the sign that Barca really needed. But still, just having him, I guess it's good, because today he showed how good he can play and how much he can offer. So I think definitely it was very well deserved from him, and let's give him like huge credit for that. And then other like standout players, I mean, you kind of mentioned them as well. Like, I think De Jong had a pretty good game. I think Bernal was definitely solid as well when he played, and then Joan Garcia was also very good. I think Fermín off the bench was also good, and he also got the goal, so that was also nice to see. And you mentioned Lamine Yamal. I think Lamine Yamal, this is one of the games where like he as much. I think he was definitely kind of threatening at times, but I kind of noticed a lot of his crossing just didn't land. So I definitely see like what he was trying to do. I think his attacking presence is very good, because he has some very good moments with dribbling, just trying to beat the defense and beat his man. But I do think that he wasn't as he wasn't putting as much pressure as he usually does, and he wasn't as threatening, I'd say. attacking wise. But yeah, and then besides that, I think with the other players, I think they had like okay games. I don't think it was anything like too outstanding compared to other players. But I think like just look at it as like a team perspective, I think it was very well worked from the entire team. And I think games like these are definitely like games that um like this like these like performances I think are very well from Barca. And I think we need to see more of it because games where Barca take control and score goals, I think will definitely help. And I think a performance like this against Atleti, where Barca can like keep control and then attack a lot and have very good chances of scoring a lot, I think will definitely help Barca get back the lead into that leg. But I think that's kind of what Leicester are kind of focusing on now because I think the Copa del Rey, even though like going down 4 goals is pretty tough, I think a lot of people have the hope that Barca can kind of create something, and then this game and the next game where Real Real is going to be like kind of like test to see how well Barca can really do with the pressure, and just how much Barca can really like put on the pressure against the opponent, because I think that'll be very key for us Atleti home as well, because after the Camp Nou, so Barca are playing 3 games straight at the Camp Nou. So yeah, I think we definitely gotta see what happens with that. Yeah, I guess really besides that, I think I don't really have much to say. I think would like to see more from Alma Lewandowski. I think they could have done more, and I think the defense at times kind of struggled a bit. I think Koundé had um I think Koundé had like 1 or 2 moments where I think he didn't do well at. I believe there's one where I think he almost gave the ball away, but I think it was a foul. Yeah, I think at times that the defense did kind of give away some easy opportunities. So I think definitely need to fix that, because I think teams with better finishers would take much better advantage against that. And so yeah, I think there's still a lot of improvement to be made, but I think there's still good progress from what we saw in last few games. So yeah, overall it's good. I think Rafinha also was pretty good as well. I have to mention that Rafinha was good as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the big picture now. Obviously, we're back on top of La Liga, and again, only by 1 point. So it's really important to just not lose any games and drop points, because any sort of margin, all the margin at the moment are really like small, and any kind of drop points can cost us in the league. So that's really important. But I think yeah, psychologically, after 2 defeats back to back, I think really did happen today. And again, there are 13 league games to go. So yeah, every game is gonna count for La Liga, and we can't always depend on Real Madrid to drop points. This was kind of lucky where they lost to Osasuna, but again, you never know when they could lose next. So it's just important for Barca themselves to take matters into their own hands and just continue winning every game in La Liga, which is the most important thing. And even looking back, like just a week ago, we were kind of spiraling down into like poor form, and obviously the loss to Atleti and Girona, I think that cost us a lot of confidence. And at that point, Madrid were on top of La Liga, and just 7 days later, it just shows that Madrid slept up and we responded. So now we're back ahead. So it just shows that La Liga is fully active, and any kind of slip can cause any team to go ahead. So again, it's really still close. So that's something to look forward to, and hopefully the team keeps performing well in the future games. And I think this game also showed us that players like Bernal and Fermín can, fill in and take, have really good performances. So I do want to see them kind of, again, get back into the lineup more and kind of have a starting role, because especially Bernal, I think he's really taking his chances well. I think again he got started off early today, which is I think good for him, because Flick doesn't want to rush him into 90-minute games where he's still also still kind of recovering from that big injury. So again, you don't want to rush him into big games where he has to physically challenge himself too much. So again, I just think with Bernal, I think still managing his minutes and giving him performances like this where he can show him what he can do to see. But yeah, you mentioned the next 2 to 3 fixtures that are at home. I think that's also really important, because after this game, Barca are now 100%, they have a 100% win record at the Camp Nou at home. So yeah, that's also something encouraging, because our next 2 games are going to be at home against Villarreal and Atletico Madrid. So those are 2 big games, and hopefully we can continue that 100% win rate at the Camp Nou, because I think that's something also that's really important for a team to have, having their home form and doing really well at home. So yeah, hopefully against Villarreal and Atletico Madrid. I think Villarreal, we can hope to see a good win and dominant performance, but especially before the Atletico Madrid game, because again, yeah, we are 4-0 down, and I think the fans are going to want to see a big response from the team, and hopefully, if they are able to pull off like the impossible, I think that's going to be one of the best comebacks we've seen in a Barca for a Barca team. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. But other than that, the best thing you can hope for is just Barca to keep winning games. And yeah, anything else you want to mention before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I guess just saying that this is definitely like, some huge confidence, and I think it brings a lot of restores a lot of faith and confidence in the players because I think looking back at the Atleti loss and the Girona loss, I think you definitely tell the players were kind of off and kind of emotional because the loss is pretty hard, and I think they knew that they weren't playing well. Like for example, with Eric Garcia, I mean, when he was subbed off for Girona, we kind of thought he was kind of I guess like he's kind of like I think tearing up and like kind of emotional. But today you kind of see that he's doing he felt kind of more happy, I guess, and yeah, even on like social media, like you see he's like posting like more positive stuff, and him and Joan García seem to be getting along well because they're posting about each other. So I think you definitely see like the players are getting much better and getting more into the groove. But yeah, I think that's just super important for the obviously the entire season and just like the team overall, just having a good environment is definitely what I think helps players thrive the most. And I think letting the players speak more about the rest of the team and definitely is like it'll be pretty big. And I think even Cancelo mentioned today that he said that this Barca team is the best locker room that he's ever experienced. So I think that says a lot about the energy the team has right now, and I think it's a very good thing. So yeah, I think right now like the main thing was just honestly try to improve every game, and I think that with the players like Pedri coming back, I think it's super crucial. I think his minutes definitely should still be managed, but we know there's gonna be on high demand for the big games like the Atleti game. He'll be definitely one of the key players to watch out for, and I think he'll make some impact on that. So yeah, I think that's just something to look forward to, and yeah, I think some players also need to maybe step up and bring more to what they already offer. For example, I think with Koundé, I think he definitely knew much better. I think Olmo today could be better. I think Lewandowski could be better. I think might come with the bench for 14 goals, like goaler, I think. But but I think at the same time, like right now, nothing too big to complain about for the performance. Because I think ultimately Barca got the win and a clean sheet and are first right now. So I think that's like enough for now. But yeah, just going to the next game, I think will be pretty big and something to make sure to push forward to. And so yeah.
Yeah, so Barca end up winning 3-0 versus Levante and are back on top of La Liga. So that's really good to see. And especially after a horrible week, this was exactly what we needed. So let us know in the comments who was your man of the match, and does this win restore your confidence in Flick and this team overall? But yeah, make sure to subscribe and follow us on all our socials, and we'll be back after the next game to see if Barca can keep this momentum going. But yeah, thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.